Welcome to the Explainer. I am your lead tester, and today we are stepping straight into the laboratory for a really rigorous, high-stakes audit. We are putting the Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Language Paper 2 final task right under the microscope. Look, there's just so much terrible advice out there on social media about how to hack your exams, so today we're acting as chief mythbusters. We're going to take those popular internet study hacks and all those bad student revision assumptions, and we are going to stress test them live against official Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Then, we'll replace them with bulletproof structural writing strategies. So get ready because we are auditing the 8680 final task from top to bottom to see exactly what actually survives the examiner's grading grid. Okay, let's just dive right into our diagnostic checklist for today. We're going to cover the 15% mission, engineer a high-scoring mindset with the core theoretical architecture, and outline the systematic processing framework. After that, we'll reveal some critical examiner traps and finish up with masterful evaluation.
All right, starting with Section 1, the 15% mission, diagnosing the mark scheme.
Now, before we can bust any myths whatsoever, we have to set the stakes and define our exact target. Think about the currency of this final task. It is a 20-mark payload. You're getting 10 marks for extracting information from passages, 5 marks for your personal response, and 5 marks for the quality of language. So let's imagine a hypothetical student. We're going to call him Tester Alex. Now, Alex represents literally every viral social media revision shortcut you've ever seen. Alex looks at these 20 marks and thinks, you know what, I'll just write as many pages as humanly possible, because more pages automatically equal marks, right? Well, no. Let's actually look at the data.
Those 20 marks, they account for approximately 15% of your total paper. 15%. That is a massive chunk of your final grade just sitting in one single task. So if you use Tester Alex's strategy of unstructured page dumping, you are committing an absolutely fatal flaw. When you just dump information onto the page without any real structure, your quality of language mark absolutely plummets, and your personal response just gets completely buried in irrelevant jargon. Page dumping is completely busted by the official mark scheme. It triggers an immediate penalty on the examiner's grid simply because it lacks precision. Moving on to Section 2, Core Theoretical Architecture, engineering a high-scoring mindset. So, if page dumping is a totally busted myth, what actually works? Well, we need to look at the underlying framework that Cambridge examiners actually require. And this perfectly illustrates the reality of the grading grid. This is a direct quote straight from the Principal Examiner report. Candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. Let's bring in another hypothetical student. We'll call him Tester Sam. Now, Sam loves to memorize isolated facts. He's got flashcards for days. But under the stress test of a complex, high-tariff question, those isolated facts completely shatter. The theoretical architecture of this task rests on precise definitions and integrating your knowledge with other syllabus areas. Building those cross-topic connections, that is your ultimate structural strategy. And this leads us directly into the concept of hierarchical mental schemas. The syllabus heavily emphasizes that top-performing students build this connected, conceptual understanding. Think of it like a bulletproof academic defense network. Instead of just memorizing a random list of disconnected vocabulary words or grammar rules, you are actively building a structured web of knowledge. So when the exam throws a totally unfamiliar context at you, your mental schema kicks in and allows you to transfer those fundamental principles seamlessly. You aren't just reciting facts from memory, you are systematically deconstructing complex concepts. Which brings us to Section 3, the Systematic Processing Framework, deploying the method mark strategy. We are completely replacing that dangerous myth of fast writing with methodical processing, just so we can see how examiners actually award points. I really want to walk you through this standardized sequence, which we call the method mark strategy. Examiners award marks for the visible process of your deconstruction, not just whatever final answer you happen to land on. So, Step 1, identify the key elements from the provided passages. Step 2, apply the relevant principles. Step 3, execute your analysis with clear workings. Seriously, you have to let the examiner see your thought process. Step 4, verify your results. And Step 5, present it in the correct format. If our guy Tester Sam just rushes straight to Step 5 without showing Steps 1 through 4, he is going to hemorrhage method marks. Now, you might be wondering, hold on, this is a language paper. Why on earth are we talking about calculations and data?
Well, surprisingly, even in the Arabic language 8680 paper, data interpretation skills are rigorously tested. The examiner reports explicitly note that candidates must be able to extract data from tables and statements, interpret relationships logically, and sometimes even calculate relevant ratios or variances when analyzing information from the passages. You literally must apply an exact science to your writing. You are drawing evidence-based conclusions here, not just sharing your feelings about the text. All right, Section 4, Critical Examiner Traps Revealed. Welcome to the Stress Test Lab.
I have personally swept the principal examiner reports, and we are going to bust the top 3 myths that consistently destroy student grades. Here is myth number 1. Tester Alex assumes that if 2 events are linked in a passage, one automatically caused the other. Let's just strike this down immediately. The examiners report that students consistently confuse cause and effect. Just because the passage mentions 2 things happening at the exact same time does not mean there is a causal relationship. It's a huge trap. The examiner fix here is precision mapping. You absolutely must explicitly verify the actual cause and effect based only on the evidence provided in the text. Otherwise, your mark volatility grid drops right into the red.
Okay, myth number 2. Tester Sam thinks, hey, as long as I use massive vocabulary words, the formatting doesn't even matter. Content is king, right? Busted. Absolutely busted. The principal examiner reports confirm that presentation follows strict conventions. If you fail to check your units, if you ignore proper headings, or if you use inappropriate formats when referencing data or statements mentioned in the text, you are essentially guaranteeing a penalty on the examiner's grid. The formatting is quite literally part of the test.
And here we go, the biggest shortcut lie of them all. Myth number 3, pre-written generic templates work everywhere. Tester Alex loves this one. He memorizes a generic catch-all introduction and tries to paste it into every single exam. Let's destroy this right now. Generic answers shatter under examiner scrutiny. Why? Because they lack a direct, tailored, analytical link to the specific context given in the passage. Your answer must be highly specific. If you use a generic template, the examiner instantly knows you aren't actually analyzing the text in front of you, you're just regurgitating a script. System pause. Examiner alert triggered. Okay, listen closely. Before we deploy the ultimate bulletproof fix to secure your final grade, you need to secure your academic defense network. Subscribe to @AceTheExams right now and turn on all those notifications. Seriously, do not let bad study advice compromise your final results. We audit these curriculums specifically so you don't fall for these traps. So hit that subscribe button and let's get back to the lab. So the crucial point here is this massive security transmission directly from the examiners. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Always define terms before using them in extended responses. Look, Tester Sam loves dropping heavy, impressive-sounding terminology just to sound smart, but he never actually defines the boundaries of those terms. The examiner sees right through it. Before you deploy a complex concept, you have to define it clearly. This proves you actually understand the core principles, and it totally secures your quality of language marks. Finally, Section 5, Masterful Evaluation and Analysis, initiating the Quality Assurance Audit. We are officially in the final patch phase where we show you exactly how to weld your extracted data to your personal analysis perfectly. Let's detail the required mechanics for comparative analysis, which is absolutely crucial for that 5-mark personal response section. First, you must identify similarities and differences. Highlighting only one side is a massive error. Second, deploy precise comparative connectives to show logical flow. Third, support every single comparison with evidence pulled straight out of the passage. And finally, draw conclusions on their relative importance. This is exactly how top-scoring candidates demonstrate true evaluative thinking. It's systemic action, not just a feeling. Furthermore, you absolutely need a post-writing quality audit. When you evaluate the evidence quality from the passage, these are your 4 non-negotiable checks. Number 1, what are the limitations of the data provided? Number 2, what assumptions are being made by the author? Number 3, are there alternative interpretations to consider? And number 4, what are the effects of these factors on your final conclusions? If you question assumptions and carefully weigh alternatives, you are signaling top-tier, top-band problem-solving directly to the examiner. We can really distill this entire session into this 3-part universal truth. This right here is the problem-solving blueprint. First, deconstruct. Identify the given information and break it into logical steps. Second, solve systematically. Third, evaluate. Check for reasonableness and make completely justified recommendations. If your writing follows this specific flow, your structure will be totally unshakable.
To make sure this actually sticks under the pressure of exam conditions, I have engineered a cognitive shortcut for you to instantly recall the systematic processing framework. Just remember the mnemonic IDEAS. Identify the key elements. Define your terminology. Evaluate the evidence and assumptions. Apply the relevant principles, and finally, solve systematically. Keep ideas locked in your mental schema, and I promise you will never blank out when staring at a high-tariff question ever again.
And that concludes our audit of the Arabic Language 8680 final task. The myths are officially busted, and your structural framework is completely confirmed. Now I have a challenge for you. What is the weirdest or most suspicious exam hack you've seen floating around on social media? Drop a comment below with the absolute craziest shortcut you've encountered so we can run it through the stress test lab in our very next audit. Make sure you are subscribed to ACE the Exams, hit that notification bell for more weekly myth-busting sessions, keep practicing those past papers, and I will see you in the next explainer.